Let's talk a little college football to end the show. And basically, this was something I wanted to bring up yesterday, kind of as like a almost preview to what we're going to see this weekend, because a lot of shit can go down. Basically, first off, this was yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. Pat McAfee was, I think it's for the memes, also because he was on game day and picked Cincy to be in the playoffs, so he wants to be right. He was very adamant that Cincy is being screwed in the rankings. They moved down over a team that has lost 2 games. How can this happen? And basically looking at this weekend, Dave, we're going to try to answer the question of can Cincy make the playoffs? Because this is what we got. First off, game tomorrow. So the game going on tomorrow is the Pac-12 championship. Was going to be number 13 USC versus Washington. Washington had COVID issues, Dave, so they are now out. Oregon now is put in. So tomorrow's game is number 13 USC versus Oregon. Even if USC wins that game, I don't see them being in the playoff picture.
No, they're not jumping in the slots. No.
Like, we even have number 12 Coastal Carolina as a 3.5-point favorite over the number 19 Ragin' Cajuns.
Hey.
Even if they win, I don't see them in the playoff hunt. Georgia game is canceled this week. You also have Indy. So Georgia at number 8, game canceled. Indy at 11, game canceled. Those were makeups from earlier in the year. Indy was against Purdue. Georgia, I want to say South Carolina. Don't quote me. Doesn't matter. Game ain't happening. The other games we have, though, that are interesting. First off, the SEC battle. Okay. Number 1, Bama. Number 7, Florida. Bama is a 17-point favorite. Florida's a good team. Let's be honest. They are a good team. Kyle Trask has done some good things this year, but can Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts and this Florida team, can they dismantle the juggernaut which has been the Alabama Crimson Tide? I don't think so. Dave, what are you thinking?
Not a hope in hell here. Bama's too big, too strong, too fast. Can't lose. Mm-hmm. It just feels like they are on a different level. They've got better weapons. They got better, bigger linemen. Like, everything about Bama football is just it's on steroids. Yeah. Not the players themselves, perhaps, because I can't officially say it out loud, but they're some big boys. They feed them differently, you know?
They're just, as Soapy would say, they're just built differently.
Their strength and conditioning deserves, like, some heavy credit. They are always in great shape.
So, Dave, I'm writing down here. We both have Bama with the win. That means Bama would probably stay number 1.
Bama sliding down.
Yeah. So, Bama's number 1. That puts in, I'm going to put the hunt category, Florida, because they would be above Cincinnati. They'd be at 7. So we'll see where we want to put Florida after this. Number 2 gets decided in the ACC, Dave. Number 2, Notre Dame. Number 3, Clemson. This is the game of the night for most people. Although they are number 3, and they're only number 3 because Notre Dame beat Clemson when they didn't have Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is back. Clemson is a 10.5-point favorite, Dave. Yeah. This is a game to me, I don't know how it's going to go. I feel like Clemson wins this, no problem, because they have Trevor Lawrence back. But this is a game, no matter, if you are a team like Cincy on the outside, no matter who wins this game is a plus for you.
I want Clemson to win by about 30. Okay. I want them to embarrass Notre Dame on national TV at full strength now and prove a point that Notre Dame does not belong in the top 4.
Because if Clemson does demolish them, there's no way Clemson stays in. Or not, I'm sorry. No way Notre Dame stays in is what I meant to say.
I think if it's a blowout, then no. There's not a chance.
Like, even if they
if it's close, then they might stay in at 4.
Even if they cover and lose by 10, I think a 10-point loss isn't close enough. Like, it would have to be a 3-point loss.
I don't know. I think 10-point loss. We have to wait and see what else happens. But I think it'd stay in if they don't get embarrassed.
So for right now, we'll say Clemson at 2. They win the game. Notre Dame gets bumped to in the hunt. Number 3 then opens up. And the question is the Big Ten championship then. Number 4, Ohio State. Number 14, Northwestern. Ohio State opens up as a 20.5-point favorite. I know any given Saturday is a thing, Dave. I know Northwestern has played well this year. Pat Fitzgerald may be playing for an NFL job in Chicago. Who knows? But Ohio State, it's pretty simple here. Ohio State, win and you're in. But based off of the ACC win, and you're just not in, you may be having a rematch with Clemson in a playoff matchup because Ohio State's moving up to 3, right, with a win?
Yeah. I mean, like, the only reason they're as low as they are is because they haven't had the games to show that they can demolish other teams. Like, they, in my mind, are right there with Clemson and Alabama as far as strength.
The other games, and yet again, I got to open this up. I'm going to open it up real quick for records because I know Cincinnati is 8-0, but I don't know the other SEC and Big Ten opponents because of COVID, Texas A&M, who's at number 5, this is where it gets interesting. So okay. Texas A&M, they are 7-1. They have a loss. They are going to play Tennessee this weekend. They are a 2-score favorite, a 14-point favorite. I say Texas A&M wins. Now, for me, I'm putting them in the hunt for right now because this is going to be interesting. Then we have Iowa State, number 6, against Oklahoma, number 10. Oklahoma's a 5.5-point favorite. Just for the sake of argument, let's say Iowa State wins that game because that would put them in the hunt because they're like, hey, we also won our championship. Then Cincinnati, they're number 9. They're going to play Tulsa, who's 23. Cincinnati's a 14-point favorite. Let's say they win. So if what we say happens, Bama, Clemson, OSU, 1, 2, 3, that would mean the committee, and we're going to do this right now of who we would pick. You've got Notre Dame, who would be 10-1 on the season. They just lost to Clemson. Florida would be 8-3 at that point. You would have Texas A&M at 8-1. You would have Iowa State at 9-3, and then Cincinnati at 9-0. If you're the committee, here's the thing. Iowa State has the conference championship. Texas A&M is the highest in the ranking. They're at 5. They won their game. Would they just be bumped in? Would Iowa State get the win because, hey, we beat a better opponent than Texas A&M did? Would you throw Notre Dame in because it's like, oh, you only have one loss and your loss was to Clemson, who you beat earlier? Or
put them in, then go ahead.
Or is it Cincy, the only undefeated team in the bunch? We won all our games. We did what we were supposed to. Should Cincy get should they get the respect? Because odds are they will end up as the only undefeated team after Saturday, vying for that number 4 spot.
I'm gonna lean with probably A&M or Notre Dame keeping it, assuming they don't get embarrassed. I like Texas A&M. That one makes a lot of sense to me. Like they're a good team. They got a really good defense. I got no real problems. They can get the job done on the offensive end. Good enough is my answer. But I don't think Cincinnati gets in. I feel like they're the Boise of old. Outside looking in.
Yeah, and I feel like Cincinnati fans, if you're watching this hoping for one of us to say, I say you should be in. 9-0, that should be enough to get the respect.
But that's not the point.
But that's not the point. Like, this is why the 4-team playoff doesn't work. Hell, if we even flip the Notre Dame game, say Notre Dame wins, they're at 2 because they're undefeated. Clemson, if they lose, that's even more interesting because then they would finish 9-2, both losses to Notre Dame. Are they a greater team to say, you lost to Notre Dame, we're going to keep Clemson in there? Like, if you're Cincy, are you hoping for Clemson to win because Notre Dame might be softer, even though they're 10-1? Or are you hoping for Clemson because it's like, really, you're going to have a 2-loss team in the playoff there?
Yeah, I think that's probably the expectation.
Like, if Cincy wants in, Tennessee needs to beat Texas A&M, so there's no question there. You just lost to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma has to beat ISU, which that's the more reasonable one that could happen, because then the choice is, okay, Cincy over Florida. Florida has 3 losses this year. I'm sorry. I'm not putting a 3-loss team in there.
They're not getting it.
Because if Texas A&M and ISU both lose, then the question becomes, A, does Cincy jump Georgia? Yes, because Georgia didn't play. Cincy did. That's why I would say they jump, because you've got nothing from.
They're not penalized for not playing the game. Remember, Rick, that is the standard from the people who are making up the rules.
But here's the thing: like, Cincy plays, they win, they go to 9-0. Georgia's 7-2. Cincy should be above Georgia at least. So that's why I say they jump them this week.
Okay.
Florida falls because they lose. So that means Cincy's at 7. Iowa State, they would be at 3 losses. I'd bump Cincy above them. The only choice becomes a 2-loss Texas A&M team. How much do you weight the Tennessee loss? I would weight it more because it's an unranked team. And Tennessee's not good this year. Right. The only question is Notre Dame Clemson. Does it really matter who loses that game? Because they're gonna basically keep the top 4 the way it is if A&M and ISU lose. I think Cincy gets screwed in the end. This is why we go back to how we expanded the playoffs and when we talked about that. But it should be an interesting weekend, especially if a Florida, if a Northwestern, if
throw some upsets
Notre
in there.
Dame.
As long as Notre Dame gets the shit kicked out of them, I don't care.
Dave's like, whatever. I just want to see Notre Dame lose.
Growing up in the Chicagoland area, there's a lot of Notre Dame fans. There's a lot of Irish around here.
Southside Irish, baby.
A lot of wannabe Irish out here. It gets a little obnoxious over the years. So,
Dave, everyone's Irish on St. Patty's Day.
Very true. I'm Irish. I'm Irish 365 days of the year.
I hated that as a non-Irish person. I hated that because it's like, no, the Irish get their day. Like, why should I have to steal it from you guys? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a Polish person, I get St. Joe's Day, St. Joseph's Day. You guys St. Patrick's Day. Like, it is what it is.
But I see your points.
Can't be stealing the holidays, but I was taking your point. Go on with your rant.
I'm just saying, they're a little spiteful. Maybe we'll jab at our old pal Sean, big NB fan. His team loses their chance because they're getting blown out by a fully healthy Trevor Lawrence. I would love to see it.
Also, Saint Oster, the patron saint of spite.
Yes.
We have said that numerous times.
Spite and injuries.
Spite and injuries when it comes to fantasy. Those are two things that St. Oster is very good at. But that's going to do it for us for today. We were going to talk about the Bills, but we'll talk about them tomorrow with Football Friday. That is going to do it for us. Thank you guys for staying tuned for everything that we've had to jabber about today. And NFL, or NBA, I should say. And college. Remember, join the Discord if you haven't already. Link down below, !Discord to Twitch chat, greatest community on the internet. If you want to support us, Patreon's the way to go. Patreon.com/MVP vids. Again, link down below, !Patreon into Twitch chat. We're on Twitch every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVP vids. We are also on YouTube at MVP Sports. So go ahead, like, and follow us at both places. Thank you guys. And as always, have a good day, everybody.